So in this video, we're going to talk about should you learn one language, one programming language, or multiple programming languages. And I'll give you the quick answer. I think the correct answer is two programming languages. You should learn at least two, but you should learn one very, very well. To give you an example, about my career, I started off learning JavaScript and Python at the same time. Eventually, JavaScript became something I was a lot better at, and I went down the front end path, but I was also coding with Python fairly regularly. So that I still had to do a lot of backend stuff in Python, so I knew it well, but not as good as JavaScript. And what I realized is that every senior programmer eventually is going to do two things, right? They're going to have to make big projects in a programming language or code big projects with a lot of responsibility. And knowing the language very well is going to help you write way better code. So if you don't invest in learning a language very well and you kind of just know it, it's going to be harder to code. I think a cleaner project. So that's why I say learn one of them very well. Now, the reason you learn the other one is because you need to learn a second language, because eventually in your career, the second thing that's going to happen to you when you become more senior as a developer is you're going to have to pick up another language. You're going to have to come to a project where they say, or even in your existing company, they'll be like, we're going to code something in this language or that language, and we want you to jump in. And if you haven't invested time in learning at least two languages, learning this third or fourth language is going to be a lot harder because you haven't picked up the patterns of what it takes to learn a second language or a second programming language. Once you learn a second one, it's going to be a lot easier when you come to the third one and say, well, they're kind of the same: for loops, while loops, if statements, variables. Learn those basics and write functions, and eventually you have the building blocks and you can get a little bit more productive. But not the same as somebody who's been doing it for a few years. Obviously, they're going to be faster and they're going to know a lot of things that make their lives a lot easier, right? So I would say learn one language very, very well, but also have another language under your belt. Now, if I were to do it again, it would always be JavaScript for me. But the second language, I would choose something more static, like Java or even Golang right now, because knowing only dynamic languages or only static languages is also a disadvantage. You should learn both. One of them, like JavaScript or Python or any scripting language, Ruby, PHP, will help you write faster code and kind of not get you bogged down by the details, and you can move faster. But static languages teach you to write better code overall long term and keep the code a lot, I guess, not just cleaner, but safer over time. And it's just another style of coding that you should get used to. So if you learn those kind of languages, when you get exposed to another dynamic or static language, you are actually going to understand and get through it very well. So at the end, I'd say know one language very well, get obsessed with it, even read some extra books on it, like JavaScript. I read Kyle Simpson's You Don't Know JS, and for me, that was like a huge eye-opener and helped me actually code better in my career. But at the same time, have that second language under your belt. So again, learn two languages, one static, one dynamic, and know one very, very well, because you will end up learning more programming languages or having to learn more programming languages in your career.